Say his name and he appears. I believe in Rob Coakley. Do you believe in Rob Coakley? Today we are going to draft a best ball mania team where we draft players that we fully believe in. So let's see if we can get it going. Let's do it.
Three, two, one. Liftoff.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. I am your host, Rob Coakley. Today we are going to be drafting another Best Ball Mania team. I think next week we'll get away from Underdog for the Sunday show, but for now, I need to do a little more in my BBM streets. I'm over 50, but I want to get a little more volume in. So you get to sit with me and draft another Best Ball Mania team. Today, the goal is to draft players that we are mostly overweight on, is kind of the theme of this draft. The players that we believe in, the players that we have player takes on. That is my goal for this particular one. And luckily, with the draft hacker, you're going to be able to see the players that I have a healthy percentage on. All my ownership numbers are going to be up to date. Made sure I sent those through this morning. So without further ado, do we just want to jump into this? I think we do. And you're going to have to bear with me. I believe in Joe Hendry, but also I believe that I got sun poisoning on one of the days this week. God, I don't even know. It was like a fever dream. It was not great, is what I will say. It was not great. So bear with me. I'll try to mute if I have to cough or whatever, but it was bad. It was quite bad. Good morning, Versier. Good morning. Good morning. I'll start pulling comments after we get into this draft, but let's get into it. We only need one, so that's going to fill pretty quick. Good morning, Versier. Good morning, Zach. Lovely, lovely Sunday. The humidity is finally broken here. God, we got the 3 spot. We got the 103. Nice. That's fun. That could make for a fun draft. Did anybody get in? See a lot of red badges, but I don't know if any of you guys got in. If you did, let me know. Good morning, Black Muddy River. So if I sound stuffed up, if you see me trying to hit the mute button, I apologize if I do cough in your ear at one spot on one time or another. I'm so glad that you're liking the draft hacker, Black Muddy River. Good morning, Best Ball on Call. Adam says, breaking news, Best Ball Bro gets sick after going outside for the first time in months. Good joke, but I actually work outside. So yeah, I actually do work outside in the fresh air, which is usually great. It's been pretty shitty lately though. Let's get our music going before this draft start. I guess the draft has started. Let's get so I don't blow eardrums out. And we'll get rocking here. We're on the clock. We're going to grab Jamar Chase. We have 13% in this tournament. I'm not sure how I have more Justin Jefferson right now than Jamar Chase. Doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but let's start to fix that. Let's throw the old board up. I have not drafted Tyreek at all yet, Berser. I'm at 0%. And that would definitely go against the theme of this show. Wow, that music is super quiet. Have they adjusted the volume on StreamYard? Let me know if that's too loud for you guys. I had to go up a lot more than I normally did to even remotely hear this. So let me know if that music is too loud for you. Feels pretty good for me at the moment. I forgot to tweet. Again, I am sick. So we're going to do a little retweet thanks to Eric. Everything is signed out too. What's going on? So yeah. Yeah, the theme is to get these guys that we're a little overweight on in this draft. I'm still trying to make sure I'm overweight on these guys before I balance some exposure, so I'm not too worried about that stuff. 0 Tyreek is crazy. Hey, man, I like to take stands, as the people in these streets will let you know that I will make a point to sacrifice guys that I know are good to be overweight on other guys to just sort of make those stands. So for me in the first round, it's Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill that I'm not taking any of. It allows me to be quite overweight on the other guys in the first round to levels that I want to be overweight them. I did get one CMC share by auto drafting from the one-on-one spot one day, but what I did was make sure to build that team differently. I think what I did for this one CMC team was I did a CMC Achane Kyron build and did like one more running back later. Bias is with me on the 0% Tyreek. Look, I know it's a scary proposition for sure to be 0% Tyreek, and I know out the gate it's probably going to look bad the first 4 weeks, but there's not a game about the first 4 weeks. Maybe on those DraftKings contests, I'll draft Tyreek, right? Those first 4 week contests. I actually forgot about those, and I want to get more into those. So I'll be checking into that. See if they're still offering those contests, because those are fun. It's basically first 2 weeks in your pod, and then the next 2 weeks are playoffs and finals. So it was a cool concept that DK did over there. And I think every site has stuff that they're doing that's cool. Versier is asking me about some crazy riser. Shahid is up to like pick 100. Christian Watson's moving up. This is when the risers and fallers are gonna start. I'm still taking Shahid right now. I try to take Christian Watson. It's been tough, and it's gonna be tougher with him rising, but I'm gonna have to step back and figure out how I want to do that as well. So that's stuff that I'm thinking of. After we get our next 2 picks in, I want to talk about the Denver running back situation, because I think this exemplifies a lot of what you need to be looking into in the offseason. And you're going to probably hear personal biases on it as well, which is, I think everyone weighs in with some personal biases on this stuff. Okay, so we are on the clock here. I think I want to grab Achane as one of my 2 picks here. God, do I want to grab Achane? I'm trying to figure out how I can get my second receiver. We're going to grab Achane for our first RB here on this team. I'm trying to get a little overweight. Well, not a little overweight. I'm trying to be relatively overweight on Achane right now. He is a guy that I think could go either way once camp opens. I think he could move up to the mid to early second round, but I also do think he can drop. So I'm just more comfortable being slightly overweight. Slightly overweight of what I want to be is what I will say at the moment. Having 13% DK does not feel right, because I feel like I never click his name, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But let's get this next pick in, and then let's talk about the Denver running back situation. Because I think, God, do I think things got a little overblown in this whole spot. I do think I'm comfortable going with DK Metcalf here. I think he's a guy that I'm going to get less and less as the tournament progresses as well, with people moving around. So if I'm going to be up to 14, 15, 16%, that's fine with me. If I'm slightly overweight DK Metcalf, that's okay. Part of the reason I like DK Metcalf is I love this playoff schedule: Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. You can really attack those 3 teams as well. There's almost like a round robin with 4 of those teams in the playoff. So getting Seattle players is fun for that. But let's hit on this Denver thing real quick. There was that report from a beat writer in Denver that Estime and McLaughlin are pretty much locked to make the roster, and that Javonte Williams and Samaje P. Ryan are battling for that last roster spot, right? And I think people are overreacting to it a bit. And I'm not saying that Estime has zero chance of being like the week one starter or taking over the backfield at some point. I do think you should be drafting Estime. But I think people are docking Javonte Williams a bit too much, and he's going to start falling, which is great for me because I'm going to take him. But this is kind of news we already knew to an extent, right? I at least have expected Samaje P. Ryan to be cut this entire offseason at some point by the Denver Broncos. I just don't think he makes sense for this team right now. So by that logic, we knew that Estime was making the team and that McLaughlin was there because of the role that McLaughlin plays. Drafting McLaughlin is insanity to me. We've been told by the team that he's sort of a specialist in what he's going to be doing. They don't like his pass blocking. He's going to be tough for him. He might have like 1 or 2 weeks, and of course those could always come to playoffs. But I think he's going to be tough for him to hit your lineup like hardly ever. So I'm not drafting McLaughlin, but I think that people are overhyping this news that came, and I would love to say that it came from training camp, but the Broncos haven't even started camp. I believe they start camp today or tomorrow. Let me double check that. I think the rookies have reported, but I'm pretty sure that their camp hasn't even started yet. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? You're hearing news, and I understand it's coming from a beat writer, but to what extent? We haven't seen anything on the field to say that Estime is going to be taking the job of Javonte Williams. I think it's just insanity. And I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see people overreact to news that can be interpreted a number of different ways. I know that particular news made it really look bad on Javonte Williams. But based on what? That's what I want to know. What was his reporting based on? So, could it have been slipped from a coach? Maybe. Could it have been slipped from a coach to motivate Javonte Williams or something? Again, people were really high on Javonte last year after a really bad knee injury. I was a little more hesitant. I thought this was the year to hit him because what was going to happen, he was going to get overhyped last year. He wasn't going to perform to the level that people wanted him to, and if he's ever going to perform again, it was going to be this season, right? So that's why I'm comfortable taking Javonte. This is the season to bet on him. Last season was not. We've seen this with the really bad knee injuries, the ACLs, in the past, when it's the really, really bad tears that we wait a full year to take those players, because that's when they're back to their physical performance, and I also think it's mental too. When it's that bad of a knee tear, that they need that extra year to just feel comfortable on the field again. So, yeah, so that's where I am. Take Estime, but I'm also going to take Javonte Williams still. I'm going to watch the drop. Maybe I'll wait a week. I'll let the drop occur. You see Andrews get pulled up here, which is not terrible. We were going to be considering that. I also wanted to consider the Josh Allen Kincaid thing here, but that's not going to happen. Let's grab Trey McBride, who I love as a player. That we're overweight. I'd rather be a little more overweight on as well. Let's scroll all the way up so that we're not missing players, but I did want Trey McBride here. And this is sort of some of that thing I was talking about with the playoff teams. You look at Chicago, they got Minnesota, Seattle, Detroit. And Seattle has Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. And Green Bay has Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota. So, like, there is a playoff gauntlet there where if you're grabbing, like, Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago, Seattle, you're really getting good playoff correlation. So I'm not saying to overemphasize that, But I sort of keep that in the back of my mind once I draft 1 or 2 players from those teams that I can really build decent teams for playoff correlation. All right, 5th round. It's going to be tough for me to pass on Lamar or Mahomes here in the 5th. Mahomes becomes a little bit more of a problem because Rashee Rice has moved up quite significantly, and we've already seen Hollywood Brown go, so actually pairing him with anybody becomes a problem. I'm going to queue up Lamar, and I'm just going to take a quick thought to see if I'd rather have Jaden Reed here. I'm going to grab Lamar. I think we can just do some fun stuff with Lamar towards the back end, so that's what we're going to do. And I'd like to be at 60% for Lamar. So that's what I am going to go. Jamie's asking if I played the main event this year. I did not have the time to go do that. I have a lot of other commitments right now, most of them fun. So this was not a year that I could get to Vegas by any means. You see the big light up thing in the back. I have a lot of stuff going on with Hometown Ghost Stories this year. That's very exciting. So taking 2 weeks off to go to Vegas was not something that I could make happen this particular year. But I'm not upset about it. It's fine. I've honestly, since last year's main event, I think I've played 3 or less live tournaments, unfortunately. But that was kind of the case before the main last year. I played a lot more poker in the past and starting to do stuff with Spike Week in the best ball field, doing the Hometown Ghost Story stuff, as well as working. I did 60 hours at my full-time job this week, so poker had to take a back seat. I was just fortunate enough to kind of win a satellite last year. Yeah, so that is kind of what happened, and I want to play more poker. It's just it's not in the cards right now. Did you like that joke that came out that I wasn't meaning in the beginning? That is a possibility, Rob, thinking that the Broncos are going to score 30 to 40 TDs. Good morning, C40. Good morning. The other sec says, does Hometown Ghost Stories do live shows, like live on YouTube or like live in person? Because we are live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for our main episodes. So if you're looking for that, and we actually, part of that exciting stuff is we are doing our first live ticketed event, our first live show this coming October. And we have 2 really fun events in October. One is that live show. Another one is we are hosting an entire getaway weekend on Block Island that is ghost themed. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Good morning, Olaf. Victor is asking how I think the Broncos backfield plays out. So we were sort of talking about this just now, if you weren't here or if you're just asking me to follow up. I think Javonte takes this backfield personally, but I think it's a short leash if Estime shows anything in camp. So my lean is to be 12 to 14% Javonte based on his price, and just trying to make sure that I get like 6 to 8, 10% Estime as well. So like that is stuff that I'm doing. And even if they cross over on some teams together, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not going to be like prioritizing Estime when I grab Javonte, but we've talked about buying backfields. If you haven't jumped in the lab on a Tuesday night from 6 to 7, it is a free service that we offer at Spike Week where myself, usually Eric, Hacker, a bunch of the sickos from the Discord jump on a call and we sort of talk about things. And it's not just me, Eric, and Hacker talking, with everybody talking, asking questions to the group. And one thing that we came up with months ago was buying a backfield. And I think that Denver could be one of those cheaper options to do it with. So it's something I'm not going to prioritize with that team, but something I am going to want to do here or there. And as you can see, like Christian Watson, guy we were talking about earlier, I only have 2%. I would like to get that exposure up, but that is going to be difficult with the price tag that's happening with him. So for now, I want a wide receiver here. I'm at 8% for Lad. I'm only at 6% for Brian Thomas. Let's grab Brian Thomas just to get a few more shares of him. And just kind of scrolling to see what we're looking at here. Look at Devin finally woke up early enough to watch the Open. There you go. There you go. I will be... Maybe I'll put the Open on in the background. I got so much to work through today. I want to get at least one more BBM in later. But lots of content to work on. Sort of almost gave myself a full day off yesterday. Because again, your boy was in New York, quite sick Thursday. Had to drive home sick Friday, and yesterday I tried to do some work, and I was just like, man, yeah, it was tough. All right, we are on the clock again here. Don't love a lot of this. Let's build this Jacksonville thing. I don't know how much I have Brian Thomas with Evan Ingram. Let's build through that. We'll be done at tight end, obviously, in this spot. I do not play golf DFS, maybe once a year. I'm not a golf head. I don't know enough by any means for golf. Am I able to share my thoughts on the Bucs running backs, the gap between where White is being taken versus Bucky, and I already don't think White is very good. So I have barely any Rashad White, and that is based off of sort of some of those sentiments. I don't hate him as much as others, but I hate the range he's in. If you look, and we see where he goes, which is right here in the 6th round. My personal preference, I have a hard time even getting to the back I like more, which is Kenneth Walker a lot, because I take my D4s. Usually I have at least a quarterback and tight end. Sometimes I have a running back as well, like we do here with Achane. And then I do something like McBride, Lamar. So usually in this range, I have to take wide receivers. I feel like it feels like a necessity. So the Joe Mixons, Rashad Whites, Kenneth Walkers become a bit blind to me. Like I usually can't see them in my queue because I'm focused on grabbing a D-Hop or an Xavier Worthy or a Rashee Rice, wherever I am in the 6th round, right? So usually not grabbing those guys. And even if I were to grab Rashad White, I'd grab Kenneth Walker instead, generally. So I have been taking a lot more Bucky Irving. We can look at that percentage when he comes up later. But that's sort of the way I've been playing it, and I'm pretty fine with it. There you go, Devin. I actually think it's time to change the song. Speaking of roller coasters, I think I'm going to Six Flags. I actually think it's exactly a month from today. So I'll be doing Six Flags in August. And my Six Flags experience last year, because I usually bring one of my friends. He has twin sons that are like 16 years old this year, which makes me feel old AF. Last year, while we were there, was when they dropped the original Eliminator tournament for Underdog. And I was trying to draft my Eliminator teams while going on the Superman ride and stuff. It was a nightmare. Yeah. It was crazy. So I think I only got like 4 or 5, which was fine because I think it was $50 a pop on those teams. But it was real difficult to get those in last year, especially when you're when you're at a theme park and everyone's cell phones are around, which just bogs down your speed. So you're auto clicking when you don't want to be auto clicking. It's just the whole thing. So yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing. They're about to be back on the clock. I'm gonna grab Zach Moss here. I'm at about 12% on Zach Moss right now. I'm okay with that. I'm fine getting up to like 16, 18% Zach Moss. If it happens, he could be a riser. Holy crap, look at this run. This is that RB window. And I've been trying to think of ways to attack this RB window. How can I... Because although all these guys are going right here, I'm starting to wonder what the combinations of them being on same teams are. I think it's going to be limited, because this is sort of what happens here. So I want to start checking. I'm going to be using our tools from Spike Week and checking some exposure combinations, seeing if I should be polling some of those running backs up around. It kind of reminds me, I'm glad that I want Pollard for this team with that Jacksonville stuff that we've set up. Sorry guys, I froze and didn't know if I should try to mute. That was my bad. Are we gonna do this terrible joke again, Bones? That's what we're doing. The terrible "this guy got arrested last night" joke. I think you tried to do this last week, and it's just not funny. No one laughs. You probably sat at lunch tables by yourself in high school, couldn't exchange, desserts because your jokes were that bad. Girls didn't talk to you. You were like, you know what? I'm gonna have an original YouTube name. I'm gonna call myself Bones, and then I'm gonna make jokes that 7th graders make. So kudos to that, Bones. Shout out to Bones in the chat. Shout out to Bones for making bad jokes. But now I've lost where I was. I've lost my train of thought. So we will continue down this drafting path. But okay, I remember where I was. This range of running back really reminds me of 2 or 3 years ago, the 5th round wide receivers that everybody loved. It was, believe it or not, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. God, who else was in that range? There were so many wide receivers in that range. I remember the 2 Rams guys, but there was like 7 or 8 wide receivers in that range, and everyone's like, you got to take one of these wide receivers. And an epiphany hit me halfway through the draft season. Like, what? The 3rd and the 4th round sucked. It was like, why are we not just pulling these guys up and making sure we get a combo with these guys? So that is what I might want to start doing in the 7th round, is making sure I'm pulling up, any of them. Najee to get with DeAndre Swift, or, Ramondre to get with Jalen Warren, vice versa, yada, yada, yada. So based on the build I have, I might start pulling some of these guys up here and there, is a thought I'm having. Devin's asking if I'm mixing in underdog DK around 50-50 this year or heavier underdog. So I'm going to be slightly, in terms of their main tournament offerings, I am trying to max the Best Ball Mania tournament. My goal was to be around 100 on the DK milli, but I might lower that number. I'm still sort of figuring out what I want to do, to be honest, which I had it pretty much set last year, but this year I've been waffling a bit on how I want to play it. I just grabbed Lawrence here to wrap up this Jacksonville double that we have. So I'm trying to figure that out, because I'm not 100% sure how I want to play my stuff. I didn't want to invest what I invested last year, even though we left up a little bit of money. I still want to do some of the higher stake stuff, but maybe not as much. I'm not going to max the drafters, for instance, this year, but maybe 1 or 2 bullets in that. And I don't know. I also wanted to do 100 eliminator teams, but the way that's been filling lately, that's probably not going to happen. I'm probably going to be more around 50 on that. I got to travel for work for 3 more weeks, so there's a lot of factors for me right now that I'm trying to get things in. So I appreciate the question. I try to be transparent about it. I just legitimately don't know at the moment what my actual teams are going to be by the end of the year. So I'm almost at 50 on DK. I think this is 53 or 54 for the Millie. We're going to grab Jerry Judy there. We have some correlation. We're slightly overweight on Judy, which is fine. I don't want to be crazy overweight on Judy, though. That's a good one, too. I am the KY. Stevenson and Warren sounds like a good one. Yeah, Devin, the other contests are usually better for advancing, and it gets pricey. Like, even I was looking at how much I have invested in best ball already, and I'm around close, probably between 4 and 5 grand this year already. It's like, I don't even feel like I've drafted that many teams, and we've already hit that amount. The Zach brings up the best thing is the drafters $2, and they have the best slow drafting interface on the planet. I just maxed the first round of that they had. I haven't jumped into any more. I just want to get these other ones off my board. But if you're looking for volume and a great tournament with good payout, that $2 drafter is awesome. So, yeah, BBM and the main tournament are more lotteries. Like, you gotta pick your tournaments. BBM, it's the one we want to win. It's the one people want to see you draft on stream and win and all that fun stuff. But there are quote unquote better advancing tournaments, and bankroll management is key. They might, Zach. I know that they definitely have the best slow draft interface, is what I will say. I will give drafters that. I do like the Underdog mobile. I actually like their desktop as well. So they're kind of tied for me. But when it comes to the slow draft, I don't think anyone beats drafters. Thoughts on Zach Moss and Chase Brown? Love them both. Backfield that I am also trying to buy. Want to be overweight on both players. Want to have them both on some of the same teams. I think it is a valuable spot to be. Hopefully that I'm not picking one or the other there, which I'm not scared to do when I do believe in something. But for now, I am not picking one or the other. We only have 4 wide receivers right now, but it's Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Brian Thomas, Jerry Judy. We're done at tight end. We're done at quarterback. So we're going to be just firing wide receivers and running backs coming up. Good morning up, Doug. I don't have a problem with it. Well, I have a problem with the Underdog mobile when it is, if I'm trying to like fast draft multiple drafts, I think it's garbage for that. But in terms of like, if I just sit on my couch, right, and I'm like, let me get through a BBM or something, or a solo eliminator, and I usually don't have a problem with them, to be completely honest. All right. Let's grab Leggett for this team and hope that the Carolina Panthers can score more than 4 touchdowns this season, and that Xavier Leggett can get at least 1.5 touchdowns, I guess. I really made a case for Xavier Leggett there. I hope that you guys don't go crazy drafting him now after I just put that hard sell on you for Xavier Leggett. Ty Chandler was a guy I was considering in that spot as well. I thought maybe we could push Leggett and grab Chandler there, but I'm okay with it for now. We are okay with it. Man. Yeah, being sick was not fun. It was not a great experience. Do not recommend, especially because I think it was sun poisoning. We were back on the clock. I would like to draft none of these guys. I don't want to draft a single one. I'm going to be forced. We'll grab Mike Williams. We'll grab Mike Williams. I think we can take him on as a 6 wide receiver. I don't love it, but we're going to do it. Yeah, Keon Coleman and Lockett could both be Quentin Johnston. And they don't even have to be Quentin Johnston, right? I mean, Keon Coleman's in a better situation, but Carolina could just be bad. So that is where we are with that. I'm going to mute my mic for a quick second. I think I had sun poisoning, right? This past week. And the best way I can describe it is I've only been sunburned like 5 to 10 times in my life, maybe a little more, but I don't sunburn really. My entire body felt like the heat of a sunburn without the pain. And I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Like my skin was that hot, even though I wasn't burnt. It was real weird. Did not enjoy it. Welcome back to Rob's Medical Corner. As we talk about sun poisoning. Anything to not talk about best ball and best ball stream sometimes, right? Especially in this range. And I think that this is the range coming up, the 14th through 18th round. Politely. And this includes myself sometimes. But I'm going to say this as politely as I can. This goes not just for streamers, but for all best ball drafters. We talk about how this range doesn't matter, right? We talked about equating this range to an auction draft and how roughly around here, every player's $1, but people are still so tethered to ADP. When you build a team like I've built here, it becomes a little easier to just grab the guys that you want from this range on. So we're not going to be tethered to ADP. Now, we're still like, if we want multiple guys, we'll still grab the guy that's technically ADP first so that we can try to get multiple players. But what I'm going to be doing is clicking off, obviously, the quarterback and the tight end tab, and we're just going to be looking, and whatever we want to grab, we'll grab. So we're almost on the clock here. Let's get this situated. Take these guys off. And we will grab the guys that we want that makes sense for this particular team. Which, in my opinion, is I want Bucky Irving for sure on this team. As you can see, I have 23%. I want Bucky Irving. I think he's more important for this team than any of the wide receivers in this range. And there's a few here that I'd find it taking. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to grab Bucky Irving first to add to Devon Achane, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Bucky Irving as our fourth. Let's see Baker go afterwards. I do grab some of these guys as well. Rob B is bringing up how the Texans and Bears wide receivers are all getting drafted early, and that Schultz and Kmet are in a decent range. I mix them in, and I don't mix them in just on Caleb and Stroud teams. I mix them in on other teams as well. I'm not severely overweight on either, but I do mix those guys in. And I have been making it a point to do it a little bit more often. I'm going to grab Troy Franklin for this team. I mean, Bateman's correlation, but I'm okay not having Bateman here. So that leaves us with 3 more picks, and I'm perfectly fine with what we're working with here. I kind of know how I want this draft to play out. We'll see if it does. We'll see if we get it the way we want it. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Texans in a second a little bit more. But yeah. Man, doing a little meal prepping today, doing a little grilling. Gotham is going to be happy. Gotham is my dog, for those of you who don't know. While I get my chicken and stuff cooked for my salad, I will be cooking us some hot dogs, which will make him quite happy. He's not over here right now. Somehow always knows when the camera's on. Finds his way away from it. That's okay. Not a great time of the year for the dog. He is mostly husky, a little bit Pomeranian, and the heat and humidity do not play out well for him. We are much more of a fall. Both of us prefer the fall, and he is fine in the winter as well. And we're seeing the Estime rise already. Estime going in the 16th round right here. So keep your eye on that. I'm not doing another hot dog challenge. I finally can just now. I think this is the first year I've been able to eat them since that. If they don't make me sick. So yeah. And this is a great point from Pius Devil that there's a discussion about the pass catchers in Chicago and how the offense was one of the just feels like Caleb Williams. We also don't know what the offense is going to look like with Caleb Williams. We expect it to be an uptick, which I do as well. Almost back on the clock here. I mean, I don't think it's a secret. We're looking to grab 2 running backs and the wide receiver. And as long as APW doesn't do it, we should get exactly what we want here. So we grab Devontae Walker to pair with Lamar, which is what we wanted to do. So that works out. Very happy with that situation. Let's see where Will Allen was a guy that I was considering for this team. However, I think that Devontae Walker we needed him more so on this team. We needed Braylon Allen. There's so many places we can go with running back, and my brain has a map as to the 2 RBs we're going to be grabbing. So the play here is going to be Dark Horse Miami decides to pick. Play here is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire on this team. And I know exactly how we're going to end in the 18th round, most likely. That is sort of how I kind of play out these rounds. Sometimes I have a pathway from rounds 14 to 18 that I'm trying to make sure players that I get. That's why I'm okay with pulling guys up sometimes. The key that we want to focus on is seeing Estime get pulled up to the 16th round here. Interested to see what this guy's team is. Luca, Harrison, Flowers, goes to Porter, Laporta, Calvin Ridley, George Kittle, Kyler, Curtis Samuel, and then he just starts hammering Tyjae Spears, Brock Purdy, and goes back to running back with Ford. Chubb, so he grabs both Cleveland backs. I know there's 3. Then he grabs McLaughlin, Pearsall, Khalil Herbert, Estime, so he grabs 2 Denver, 2 Cleveland. Oh, I don't hate it, to be honest. I think that the Estime stuff, I understand why he did it in the 16th, right? Because trying to get him back to the end of the 17th might be difficult to get Estime, especially with the steam. So it's fine. It's just we need to make sure we're noticing that Estime is going to get pulled up. Yeah, I have a ton of. I don't have 50% Tez versus here, but I have a ton of Tez. I actually thought I had more than I did. I think it showed on that like 26, 27%, something like that. So, also been grabbing quite a bit of Devontae Walker as well. We will not be doing a second draft today. Again, I have quite a bit to do. I think I'm on the Fantasy Sanctuary tomorrow night, though. I have to check my schedule. So if you follow the Fantasy Sanctuary and you want to see me do more underdog drafts, if we're doing underdog, I'll be on that show tomorrow. I'll tweet about it. Tom Strachan and Emo Cowboy, very cool guys. Tom actually did a voiceover for me on a Hometown Ghost Stories episode, which was great of him. So make sure you're checking out Fantasy Sanctuary as well on YouTube. And I'll be on there tomorrow. 90% sure I'm on there tomorrow. I'm going to check my calendar. And we are going to be on the clock here in a second. We are going to be grabbing a running back. A lot of you may be saying, Rob, Tank Bixby. This is why we're doing one show today, because God forbid I talk after being sick. Tank Bigsby makes sense for this team, and he may. That's not where we're going. We're going to already go to a guy we were grabbing before the camp height. I would like to be a little more overweight on. He correlates with our entire playoff situation. Jawar Jordan out of Houston. I was so happy to see a camp highlight from him already. Out there with CJ Stroud, catching passes from him. So it's going to be Jordan for me. We end this team with Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Devon Achane, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Bucky Irving, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jawar Jordan, Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Ryan Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, Xavier Leggett, Mike Williams, Troy Franklin, Devontae Walker, Trey McBride, and Evan for the team. So I think it's going to be a fun one. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite team that we've drafted on stream by any means. I do like it enough. It feels like a lunch pail team where it's like you look at it, it doesn't get you too excited, but you're like, oh, it's battling between second and fourth place. We have a chance of this team making the playoffs. That's what I think that team is going to end up being. So, yeah. I agree, Dave. So we grabbed a lot of our players that we believe in that we're overweight on for this draft. Went a little nuclear on some of these players, and I even think Jawar Jordan being like quote unquote 6% is us being extremely overweight when he's not getting drafted, right? So I think we nailed the theme of the show this week. I don't know why I started theming the Sunday show, but here we are doing themes and stuff like that. But we will catch you next time here at Spike Week. Peace out.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.